money elsewhere. Well, yesterday the Supreme Court sat on that matter. They heard the matter and they fixed March 3 for judgment as to whether the federal government should extend that deadline. Some people were celebrating, saying those that for the president have won because the election will come on Saturday and go without the old notes being legal tender. By the time they say the Supreme Court makes the judgment, it may be inconsequential.
El-Rufai is, there is all over the papers that El-Rufai has devised a means. If they say he wants money for politics, that's why he's crying, that he's now providing free transportation and free healthcare to voters to go and be able to vote, and that they should also investigate that.
He said those citizens in his state don't have cash, and the government has to come in to ameliorate their sufferings and cushion the impact of scarcity of naira. That's why he's embarking on that. That's what they are saying.
It's not only El-Rufai in Kaduna. Oyo State, Seyi Makinde has also made free public transportation available. So maybe as you're investigating El-Rufai, you also need to investigate Seyi Makinde. This naira crisis, and a greater part of these things have taken away our attention off some national issues that should keep us on it. I know that in the last 24 to 48 hours, the federal government special investigation panel on oil theft and losses have been meeting in Abuja. I remember all of us were shouting about the oil theft. And what is the finding this time? They're telling us that, look, the host communities are involved. They are collaborating with those in authorities, and the security agencies, and that they are calling for stiffer penalties. They said, look, we need to have a discourse.
Who will administer the stiffer penalties? The security agencies have to arrest them, and those that have to arrest them have been colluding with them.
As we speak,
allegedly been colluding.
As we speak, if we are caught in this, and
based on what the government is saying, it's the government that's telling us this. Raising the allegation.
Clearly, from what I understand, it appears because the host communities are involved, it's very difficult, to get around all of this. But the penalty for such economic sabotage is either 21 years imprisonment, or death penalty. But we need to have a conversation on this.
But the Vice President, the production level has gone up 1.6 million now. So good news.
We need the willpower to effect sanctions when they are due. I think that part of the greatest problem that we have in this country is that people get away with blue murder. People get away with a lot of crimes because we lack the willpower to effect stipulated sanctions. It's just like even when we were talking about political violence, election violence, even the laws before now had already addressed these issues.
Absolutely.
But who will bail the cat? Who will implement these things? That's the problem.
The civil defense had to wind up a unit they deployed in the Niger Delta because they suspected they were doing more than they were asked to do. So when the man who's supposed to keep the thief away from your house becomes the thief, what do? Is it a hopeless situation we have found ourselves in? It takes the will. If I'm the president, and it continues, I'll tell the Chief of Army Staff, the Inspector General of Police, if you don't reduce this by 70% by this year, I will sack you. And if it doesn't happen, I'll relieve you of your job. But we are not seeing
that would be a good way to
start. That's the only way we can demonstrate will from top. Hold those below you to account and responsibility.
But our oil and gas managers you keep telling us that look at what Saudi Arabia oil is doing. But how come we don't have surveillance up till now?
Absolutely.
Digitized surveillance up till now along our pipelines and
we'll have to go.
This is one of the recommendations by the committee led by Major General Barry in Domo.
We're out of time now. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll return tomorrow on the eve of the election. Have a good time.